Imagine residing in a remote location, surrounded by majestic mountains and situated thousands of meters above sea level. We introduce Bolivia, a South American country that, despite lacking access to the sea, shares borders with Brazil to the east, Paraguay and Argentina to the south, Chile to the southwest, Peru to the west, and Colombia to the north. Its capital, Sucre, serves as the administrative heart of the country, while La Paz, the center of executive and legislative power, acts as the de facto capital. La Paz, one of Bolivia's most emblematic cities, is located in the western part of the country, in a depression surrounded by high peaks, standing out for its impressive natural beauty and unique position at high altitudes. The city sits at approximately 3,650 meters above sea level, making it one of the highest capitals globally. Such remarkable altitude can cause discomfort for visitors unaccustomed to such elevation, triggering symptoms of altitude sickness, including breathing difficulties and dizziness. The high altitude poses a challenging factor, especially for those not accustomed to such conditions, potentially leading to respiratory issues and discomfort. It's essential to dedicate time to relax and slowly adapt to high altitudes, minimizing intense physical activities during the first days of your stay. La Paz, due to its high altitude, experiences predominantly cold and dry weather throughout the year. Days can be sunny and mild, but nights tend to be quite chilly. Being prepared for daily thermal fluctuations is crucial. La Paz is recognized for its population heterogeneity and stands out as a significant cultural, political, economic, and tourism hub in Bolivia. Its streets are filled with colorful markets where you can purchase everything from local food items to typical handicrafts. One of the most notable attractions is the Witches Market, known for its diverse offering of articles related to traditional medicine and spiritual practices. Additionally, the city is marked by fascinating architecture, including historic buildings, colonial-era churches, and museums. The way people settle in the Bolivian mountains is remarkable. Explore the unique geographical configuration of this country. The Bolivian territory is characterized by vast geographic diversity, with landscapes ranging from the high Andean mountain ranges to the expansive Amazonian plains. The western region of the country is dominated by the Andes Mountains, which stretch from north to south. Here lie some of Bolivia's most significant elevations, including Illimani, which reaches approximately 6,438 meters in altitude, and Sajama, the country's highest peak, standing at around 6,542 meters. These elevations offer magnificent views, with snow-capped peaks and volcanoes still active. Situated between two major Andean mountain chains, the Bolivian Altiplano is a plateau known for its average height of 3,700 meters, making it one of the highest and most inhabitable places on the planet. This region is renowned for its arid climate, salt lakes, notably the Salar de Uyuni, the largest salt flat in the world, as well as dormant volcanoes and unique biodiversity adapted to the extreme conditions of the environment. In the Andes mountain range, one discovers deep and rich valleys, which are home to various Bolivian cities and towns, such as La Paz and Cochabamba. These regions are vital to the agricultural sector and stand out for their impressive contrast with the surrounding mountainous areas. To the north and northeast of Bolivia, the landscape shifts to the expansive Amazon rainforests. This area is characterized by dense flora, voluminous rivers like the Mamoré and Beni, and a wide biodiversity encompassing numerous species of flora, fauna, and birds. In the southeast, Bolivia has a portion of the Chaco, an immense arid territory that extends across several countries in South America. This sector is recognized for its low vegetation, cacti, and dry climate. Bolivia is intersected by several significant rivers, including the Parana, Paraguay, and Pilcomayo, and it possesses a large number of lakes, both freshwater and saline, which are fundamental to the ecology and national economy. Have you ever wondered why we rarely discuss the history of countries in South and Central America in schools? Well then, join us in this video where we delve into the fascinating history of Bolivia. Before Spanish colonization, the Bolivian territory was home to several indigenous civilizations, notably the Tiwanaku and the Incas. The Tiwanaku civilization, thriving between the 6th and 9th centuries, left us with an important legacy in terms of architecture and agricultural techniques. In the 15th century, with the expansion of the Inca Empire, the area became part of this great South American empire. The beginning of Spanish colonization occurred in the 16th century, with conquerors such as Diego de Almagro and Pedro de Ansúrez making their presence known. In 1545, the discovery of vast reserves of silver at Cerro Rico de Potosi triggered intense gold and silver exploration, elevating Bolivia to one of Spain's most valuable colonies in the colonial era. The Bolivian region belonged to the Viceroyalty of Peru until 1776, when the Viceroyalty of the Rio de la Plata was established, with Buenos Aires as its capital. The struggle for Bolivian independence began in the early 19th century, inspired by uprisings in other colonies of South America. The year 1809 marked the first declaration of independence in Sucre, followed by uprisings throughout the nation. However, full autonomy was only achieved in 1825 under the leadership of Simon Bolivar, in whose honor the country was named. Following independence, Bolivia experienced long periods of political turmoil, facing a series of coups and internal conflicts. Additionally, the country suffered significant territorial losses, notably the cession of access to the Pacific Ocean to Chile during the War of the Pacific, a topic that persists as a geopolitical controversy. Throughout the 20th century, Bolivia continued to be a stage for a sequence of political instabilities, alternating between provisional governments, dictatorships, and periods of precarious democracy. A rather fascinating theme that touches both Brazil and Bolivia concerns the territory of Acre. For quite some time, this region has been at the center of disputes between the two countries. To better understand, let's delve into the historical context. The contention over Acre, situated on the border between Brazil and Bolivia, dates back to the late 19th and early 20th centuries and is known as the Acre Question. This area, abundant in rubber trees, attracted the attention of colonizers, traders, and global investors, driven by international demand for rubber. With the rubber boom in the late 19th century, Brazilians migrated and began forming communities in the region, although officially it belonged to Bolivia, according to agreements and treaties from the colonial period. The influence and increasing number of Brazilians in Acre led to various conflicts with Bolivian authorities. In 1899, an uprising known as the Acrean Revolution occurred, led by the Brazilian Luís Galvez Rodrigues de Arias, who declared the independence of Acre from Bolivia. This movement sparked a series of armed clashes between the insurgents and Bolivian forces. The turmoil in Acre drew the attention of major world powers of that time, such as the United States and England, which had commercial interests in rubber. Through an effort of international mediation, Brazil committed to indemnify Bolivia so that it would recognize Brazilian sovereignty over the Acrean territory. The dispute came to an end with the signing of the Treaty of Petrópolis in 1903, when Brazil officially acquired Acre in exchange for economic compensation to Bolivia. This agreement also established the territorial boundaries between Brazil and Bolivia in the Acrean area. At the end of the 20th century, Bolivia underwent profound transformations, notably the emergence of social movements of indigenous origin and the historic election of Evo Morales in 2006 as the country's first indigenous leader. Recent episodes in Bolivia have been marked by intense debates regarding the utilization of natural resources, the sovereignty of regions, and the rights of indigenous peoples. Despite the obstacles faced throughout history and in current times, the Bolivian nation stands out for its rich cultural diversity, a people who deeply value their indigenous roots, and a trajectory that remains fundamental to its political, social, and economic advancement. If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with those who might be interested. This supports me in continuing to bring new documentaries every week. Moving forward, a large portion of Bolivians reside in rural areas, dedicating themselves to subsistence agriculture, cultivating crops such as corn, potatoes, quinoa, and coca. Existence in these locales is often characterized by a more basic way of life: homes made with local materials, limited access to essential services, and a strong connection to the land and ancestral practices. Bolivia is home to a vast population of indigenous groups, including the Quechua, Aymara, Guarani, among others, who reside both in traditional communities scattered throughout rural areas and in urban zones. These groups often keep their ancestral cultural traditions alive, encompassing languages, farming methods, and spiritual ceremonies. However, In major Bolivian cities such as La Paz, Santa Cruz de la Sierra, and Cochabamba, the population tends to inhabit vertical housing, residential houses, or housing complexes. Daily life in cities is marked by participation in the formal job market, pursuit of education, access to essential services such as water supply, electricity, and sanitation systems, as well as enjoyment of various forms of entertainment, including restaurants, cinemas, and shopping centers. Bolivia, characterized by its impressive mountain ranges, vast forests, and deeply rich culture, is in a process of economic development, navigating through a series of challenges and evolving possibilities. The country is endowed with abundant natural resources, including natural gas, oil, a variety of minerals, lithium, zinc, copper, gold, and timber, with natural gas being the flagship of its exports and a significant source of revenue for the government. Agriculture and animal husbandry also play crucial roles in the country's economy, with soybeans, corn, rice, beef, and chicken among the main products. Bolivia manages to meet its demand for basic foodstuffs and still exports a portion of its agricultural production. Although the local industry is in its early stages of development, it has shown growth, particularly in the production of textiles, processed foods, beverages, chemicals, and construction materials. Tourism, on the other hand, is gaining momentum as a promising sector, benefiting from the country's extraordinary nature, archaeological sites, and rich culture, contributing to income generation and job creation, especially in rural areas. However, Bolivia ranks among the poorest nations in Latin America, facing high rates of poverty and inequality, with approximately 36% of its population living in conditions of extreme poverty. The country's economy is heavily reliant on natural resource extraction, placing it in a vulnerable position against fluctuations in global market prices. There is an urgent need for improvement in Bolivia's infrastructure, particularly in the transportation, energy, and communication sectors. The limited domestic market restricts the expansion of local businesses. Investing in infrastructure is crucial to drive the country's economy, with enhancements in transportation routes, port facilities, airports, and energy production, having the potential to attract investors and streamline commercial activities. Regional integration with neighboring nations could benefit Bolivia by expanding trade and investment opportunities, as well as fostering joint infrastructure projects. Bolivia's economic potential is considerable. However, the country faces significant obstacles. It's essential for Bolivian authorities to adopt strategies that stimulate economic diversification, invest in infrastructure improvements, combat poverty, and foster cooperation with other nations in the region. For those interested in Bolivia, whether for a visit or to settle in the country, it's important to be aware of the value of certain essential products. A monthly budget for food can range from $50 to $75 for those who opt for exclusively homemade meals. However, for those who prefer dining out and purchasing more refined food items, an average increase of $30 in the monthly budget can be expected. The average price per meal at restaurants is around $3 to $5, indicating that food costs are relatively low in Bolivia compared to other countries. Such affordability is due to the strong appreciation of the dollar against the Bolivian peso, with $1 being equivalent to approximately 7 Bolivian pesos. Currently, the rental value of properties may be considered somewhat high compared to certain areas in Europe. In regions farther from urban centers, the rental price ranges between $50 and $80, while in more central areas, the monthly cost is between $100 and $150. On the other hand, the property purchase price is quite inviting for us Brazilians. After thorough research, I discovered that it's possible to acquire quality properties starting from $15,000. As for tourist accommodations, they offer extremely advantageous prices, with options for staying in the city of La Paz starting at $15 per night, and the more upscale accommodations not exceeding $50 per night. There is a land route that connects Brazil to Peru through the Transacriana Company, covering a distance of over 6,000 kilometers. This trail is an excellent choice for those who wish to explore until reaching Bolivia. For those intending to go directly to Bolivia, it's possible to take a train from Mato Grosso. Bolivia, our neighboring nation, is truly fascinating, with its unique and breathtaking landscapes. Bolivian culture and way of life are quite intriguing, promising a memorable experience for visitors or those who decide to live there. What do you think about exploring or even settling in Bolivia? Would you be willing to enjoy everything this country has to offer? Leave your comment below if you enjoyed this content, and don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with someone who might be interested. Your help is crucial for me to continue producing more documentaries like this one every week. Now, a fascinating video about the world's most isolated country is being displayed on your screen. Until our next video encounter.